welcome back to the channel and welcome back to Bookmas. Now, part of my Bookmas content is a lot of it's going to be kind of like setting myself up reading plan wise for next year. And this video is one of those like pre-planning things. And this is going to be picking out, or at least sharing with you guys, the 12 books that I'm going to attempt to read in 2026. And if I do not read them in 2026, I have to unhaul them. They are my 12 self-destruct for the year, my 12 read or unhaul, whatever you want to call it. I have attempted to do this once before and completely forgot about the books and failed miserably. I still don't even know if I've read them and I haven't unhauled those books. And that might be a future video to do, maybe looking back and trying to actually read some of those books. For these 12 in particular, I've decided to concentrate specifically on the first 12 books that I have gotten unread from different book subscription services. I got my first book from book subscriptions in, I think, April 2023, and since then have gotten a crap ton and have read very few. Now, I have read some of the earliest books that I've owned, but not all of them, not a lot of them. So a lot of these books are quite old. So these are the 12 books that I will be attempting to read in 2026. And if by the end of 2026 I haven't read them, I will be unhauling them. We're being brutal about this now because I do not like to unhaul books that I've not even tried to read. So that's going to be a really big motivator to actually get these books read. I'm not really someone that cares that much if a book that I paid secondhand £1 for sits on my shelves for years and years and years. But all these books cost me about 20 quid at least. So we need to get them read. So let's go through the 12 books. Starting with 2 from the company The Locked Library. They, though, do something that I wish all book subscription services would, and that is in the beginning of the book, they put in when that book was from. So for instance, my first book, you can see here, was published in April 2023 as part of the Locked Library subscription service. And that is The Book That Wouldn't Burn by Mark Lawrence. This is actually the very first book subscription service that I ever got. So I know I've been getting them since April 2023. This book is the first in, I believe, a trilogy, or adult fantasy trilogy, and I think all the other books have come out. The second one definitely has, and I think the third one also has. I've got a long way going. This one's nice. I really like the books on the edge, but yeah, it's been a long time coming. I don't know why I've not read it. I've not even tried to read it. Some of these I've at least attempted to read before, haven't even picked this one up. So it is long overdue that I get to this book. Now, the second book from Locked Library is from, I believe, June 2024. Locked Library is one I have stopped and started quite frequently. They don't really have like a big wait list. So if you wanted to join, you usually can join and you get put on in the next couple of months at least. I do that occasionally every year, clearly, and then realize I'm not reading the books and then stop. So we're going to June 2024, but this one is quite a popular book, and it's also just had its sequel come out, or just had its sequel announced when it's coming out, and that is When the Moon Hatched by Sarah A. Parker. Again, this one is a really pretty edition. My cat's making noise. This one, though, I didn't actually know was going to be the book subscription service, so I bought a edition from Fairy Loot. So I have 2 editions of this book and have not read them. This one is a adult fantasy, I think slightly maybe romantasy leaning. I don't know if it's quite romantasy. I've heard mixed things about this. Some people really like this. I think a lot of other people find this quite confusing and maybe a bit boring. I do enjoy a slow adult fantasy with a lot of world building, so I'm hoping I like this. But yeah, the sequel has just been announced, I think, or just come out. I think the cover reveal has been announced because I saw people not liking the cover. But yeah, so I think next year will be a good time to get into this. Again, both these first 2 picks from Locked Library are quite chunky, but I'm looking forward to it. I think it should be good. Or at least, if I don't like it, I have 2 books to unhaul from my collection. So that would be quite nice. So for both Fairy Loot and Illumicrate, I have 5 books each, and I've kind of put them in order in what I think I remember I got them in, but I could be wrong. Some of these books could have been come before the others, but this is the rough idea that I remember. So I think the first one that I've had for the longest is Lies We Sing to the Sea by Sarah Underwood. This is a B grade like format. I think that's what it's called, hardback, where it's slightly smaller, which I have another Illumicrate one that's that size, and I don't love that. I love a big hardback. So that's irrelevant to this book. But yeah, this is a Greek mythology, I believe it's a retelling of the Odyssey or the Iliad. I'm not sure which. It wasn't very well received. I know a lot of people didn't like it. I know a lot of people didn't enjoy it. I think that's kind of been one of the reasons why I haven't just been drawn to it. But yeah, I haven't really actually thought about this book when thinking about books to read at all. So it needs to get on there and read, and if I don't like it, I can get rid of it. But yeah, I do think I really like the gold in this. I think it's a lovely addition. I think they're stunning, and I really like the kind of gold and blue with the water. I think it encapsulates what I know of the Odyssey, which isn't a lot, well, physically, but I don't actually know I don't know how well the story translates. So yeah, this is the first book from Illumicrate. I think that one came out first, and then the next one, which I think I got second, which is also a B grade hardback, is The Witch King by Martha Wells. Martha Wells, I believe, is quite a famous author. Does she do the Murderbot series? I think that's her. But yeah, I think this also just had a series sequel this year. Honestly, my cats are just doing all sorts. They were asleep for such a long time and now they've woken up just as I've decided to film. And this again is a fantasy book. I don't know anything about it. I'm not going to really say anything about most of these books because I want to go in blind as possible, but I believe it's an adult fantasy series. I think I really have not heard anyone talk about this book. If you've read it, if you've read any of these books, let me know if you liked them because I do like to know. But yeah, I really do want to try getting to it. And then if I like it, I can read the sequel. And if I don't, it can go. The third book that has also had a sequel come out relatively recently, and Illumicrate has done an edition, which if I like, I could get to match, is The Sun and the Void. This is by Gabriella Romano Lacruz, and I love this edition. I love the black and white. I love the sprayed edges, and I believe the sequel's like colors are flipped, so I think that would look really cool. But I honestly don't even know what this book is about, and I literally don't think I've ever heard anyone speak about it. I think this one though is maybe YA, but I'm not sure. But I do think this edition is gorgeous, so I really hope I really like this edition. This one though, again, I think probably was a 2023 release, so it's about time we get to it this year. And then one that I have actually started reading, which is a sci-fi. For Illumicrate's kind of main book, they bounce around. It's not, I don't think it's like a set format. Sometimes it's YA, sometimes it's fantasy, sometimes it's sci-fi. So like, which I quite like. I quite like the diversity in it. I haven't had Illumicrate's main subscription for a while because I wasn't reading them. So this is one though that I have started reading, and that is Some Desperate Glory. The dust jacket is somewhere. I actually quite enjoyed what I read so far about it. It's a sci-fi set in a world where like there is a colony of humans that are like trying to fight these aliens to kind of rebuild Earth. Yeah, I mean, it was interesting. And basically when the women in particular, well, actually when all of them in particular get to a certain age, they get given a position, and the women are sometimes basically given they're essentially given the position of like breeders, these people that go to the nursery, it's called, and I think are basically just expected to live out their whole lives pregnant to repopulate humanity as much as they can. And this happens to our main character, who is not happy about it. And that's about where I got to, where she's just been announced that this is what's going to happen to her. I'm interested to see where this goes. When I shared that I was reading it, I did get some people saying about how the main character, it's a bit of a struggle sometimes because she's not the most likable, and she's not, especially when it comes to, you see this alien race and how hateful she is to this alien race. You know, it's quite hard, but I think the story was interesting, that I definitely do want to carry on with this, and I think it's one that I do have the potential for quite liking, and I think it's a standalone as well. I don't know if there's any other standalones so far. Actually, I think Lies We Seem to See, I think it's a standalone, but this one is a standalone, so that also would be great to have as like a standalone. I love the Galaxy on the Edge. Very cool. Do need to get to this. And then the last one from the Illumicrate stack is from one of its imprints, Evernight, and that is Murder Road by Simone St. James. I've heard basically everyone say that this is actually a thriller and not a horror whatsoever, so I had no business being in the horror book. I do really like the pink sprayed edges, but yeah, I believe this is about a couple that get trapped in a town and they want to leave, but they can't for some reason, and they have to drive down this road, but stuff happens down this road. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I love a thriller, so I think I'll enjoy it. Just have never gotten around to picking it up. I don't know why. Maybe it's because I tend to display my special editions with the sprayed edges out, so then I don't think about them because I don't see the writings. Even though I know what most of my special editions are just by looking at the edges, maybe because I can't see the words, I don't think about it. Maybe that's a stupid reason to not think about them, but maybe that's why. I think this is probably the most different genre out of all these books, the only kind of thriller, so this will be a nice one to read at some point throughout the year. I think I will definitely get to this one. I love a bingeable thriller. I don't know if I'll keep it afterwards because thrillers are sometimes kind of hit or miss for me, but I am looking forward to reading it. I'm not necessarily not looking forward to reading any of these books, but like there are definitely some that I'm like, yeah, I can't wait to sink my teeth into that, and some that I'm like, meh. Is that in my head? I'm like, should I just get rid of them then? But I just can't, because I've had so many books before when I've not had much interest in them, but then I've ended up loving them. So I feel like most books need a chance. So then moving on to the 5 books from Fairy Loot, and these, okay, what did I get first? I think I have 2 from Fairy Loot's YA and then 3 from Fairy Loot's Romantasy. So we'll start with the 2 from YA. Can't remember which way they go, but first we have Sing Me to Sleep by Gabby Burton. I think this was the YA one that I got. If it's an adult book, I might be wrong, it might be the adult, but I think it was a YA. It's a fantasy. They've also had the sequel art, and Fairy Loot have done a matching edition, which I think is still up on their website, so I could still buy if I like it. I love fantasy YA. I find them really just easy to sink into and enjoyable, and like not that they're not quite as heavy, but like they're not sometimes as dark as adult books can get in the fantasy genre, so that's kind of why I enjoy them a bit more. But yeah, I think I will like this one though. I think it has stuff to do with Siren magic, which I think will be quite cool. The other one, which I could have gotten before that one, but I'm not quite sure, is Silver in the Bone by Alexandra Bracken. And I did start trying to read this. I think I read like the first couple of pages. This is I think Arthurian legend legend retelling. And again, the sequel has come out from Fairy Loot, and Fairy Loot have done a matching edition. So again, it would be nice to get. And I think it is just a duology. I think both of these are duologies. So would be fantastic to read, because if I like them, I could get the matching editions. Again, fantasy YA, I think it's Arthurian legend. And then I think it was roughly after this one, I cancelled my Fairy Loot subscription. I cancelled it for a while, and then they announced that they were doing a romantasy subscription, and I jumped on that despite not really being a huge romantasy fan. I don't know if I necessarily knew that before I went into it. I like fantasy, I don't mind romance, but I definitely think I prefer the fantasy being the stronger element. So why did I sign up to the romantasy? And I've read at least definitely one of the ones I got. I got the very first one, which I didn't love. So then this is the order I believe they went in, and I ended up getting 4 initially before cancelling my subscription. I've recently re-signed up to the Triple Book subscription service, so yeah, but we're not worrying about what we've got after that. We're starting with these. So the first one that I need to read is A Curse of Blood and Wolves. I have started reading this and I wasn't that enjoying it, but I'm gonna give it a re-chance. It is a werewolf shifter romance. I think it's a really pretty edition, and I actually am someone that actually quite enjoys wolves in stories, but this just wasn't really hidden for me when I read it. So I am gonna give it another go though, and a refresh, but this is one I think is probably gonna be an unhaul. We'll see. I'm not sure if it's a series. Actually, that's a lie. I think it's going to be a series about, like, he's got brothers. So I just assume whenever they introduce like a character that has friends or brothers in a romantasy series, you're usually going to get their story. So I think that's a potential, but I don't think Fairy Loot has done any other editions for this. But that is going to be the first one for the like romantasy stuff. Then we have one that Fairy Loot has done editions for. I don't know if I'll be able to get them if I like this, but that is Nectar of the Wicked. This is by Ella Fields, and I love the artwork on this. Sorry, my cat is, do you mind, sir? The chair that I'm sitting on is honestly like scratched to bits, which I don't mind because it's an old chair, but you know, like, it feels nasty. I don't mind the sprayed edges, but I actually think they're a bit plain, especially compared to some that Fairy Loot do that are stunning, but I love the artwork on this. This has had a sequel because I've seen it, because it has a guy, similar thing, but with a guy's face. I don't know if it's just a duology or not, I'm not sure, but this is going to be, oh, like, look at that. That's gorgeous artwork. I love that Fairy Loot do the inside foiling. I'm not sure about this other than I imagine it's going to be about Fae. And then the third one that I have from Fairy Loot before I cancelled my subscriptions for the first time is The Wren in the Holly Library. This is by K.L. Lind. And I think this also had a sequel that came out from and Fairy Loot did a matching edition. Again, it's not overly detailed, but I quite like this. And this one was different as well because it was the first one that I got that didn't have character art on the front. Oh yeah, and then it's got this kind of like very realistic kind of, I would say, art style on the inside. That's our girl, and I've even got actually the bloody card in here. Did I start leaving the cards in so I know when I got them? This is from July 2024. Okay, so that's when I started cancelling it. That's actually quite a good idea that I left it in there. And this is what our guy is going to look like. But yeah, I've actually heard quite positive things about this. I think out of the Fairy Loot subscriptions, this and Nectar of the Wicked were the first ones that kind of got quite positive reviews. I just wasn't reading them, so I cancelled it. So we're going to try and get to those 12 books in 2026. I'm really going to make an effort to put one on my TBR every month. Get through some of these bloody special editions that I have, because I am still receiving a few. That is going to be changing in 2026. I'm really going to get on my book buying habits, my book buying issues that I have, and it's going to go down. But reading them is going to become a bit more of a priority, starting with these 12 though for the year. I'm saying this now, if I do not read these 12 books in 2026, I need to unhaul them. I'm gonna actually go and set a Google alert on my phone to remind myself every month to put on read one of them, and then at the end of the year to unhaul it. Because I think my issue last year is I kind of made the list. It wasn't even last year, it was like 2 years ago. I made the list, made the video, never thought about it again, and so then never prioritized any of those books. 2026 is going to be different. These 12 books are going to be getting read. I'm looking forward to working through the backlist, working through some of these gorgeous books, and if I don't like them, I can sell them, unhaul them, whatever. Make room for more gorgeous books. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you have got a list of books you're hoping to read, or if you're planning on doing this little challenge as well, let me know. Or if there are just books that you are desperate to try and read from your backlist, I'd love to know. Thank you guys so much for watching. I always appreciate it. And I'll see you in a couple days for more Bookmas. Bye.